Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Okay, thank you so much for being here. And well, we may actually get a new pope while we're on air. So let's see what happens. Ain't no pope like the pope I got. Dun, 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 dun. Um, he might be black and wears a pointy hat. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, if we get a new pope, I'm going to sing that song. Ain't no pope like the one I got. He might just come from Africa. He's kind of old and wears a pointy hat. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, ain't no pope like the pope I got. Yeah, there's something kind of worldly about that song. Maybe I shouldn't sing it. Ain't no pope like the pope I got. All right. Oh yeah, Yolanda Barham. What? I mean, you could always listen again later. You don't have to listen live. But for some people, it's the perfect time of the morning. Like any minute now, Elaine Parker is going to have to go and. Oh, sorry about that. I accidentally scrolled my way out of here. All right, let me try to bring up the slide again. There we go. Perfection. Hey, Lydia Washington. Oh, by the way, you guys, Kathy G, thank you for being first. I don't think we'll be here more than an hour or two. Let me see. What's that? I believe the American Cardinals are supporting Cardinal Sarah, the Black African. Yeah. Oh, you know what? You know what that means, right? That means I could sing that song. Sarah, smile. Won't you smile a while with me? Or won't you pray a while with me, Sarah? Do 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 do. If you're feeling ecclesiastic, you know, don't you have to go? Oh, this is getting really bad. You know what? Let me stop. The only thing worse than me making up songs is singing the song. Well, thank you so much, Yolanda. That's very kind of you. Of course, that might explain why there's only 212 people here, but I digress. We'll make it do what it do. Okay, so just in case you missed it last night, tomorrow's leaders today. That means Harry was in Las Vegas. You can find these photos on the um, what do you call the website? The Sussex.com website. Yeah, you can find these photos there. So there's that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Yes, investing in the leaders for tomorrow. And of course, Harry looks amazing. And this had something to do with the Diana Award. So it is just one of those things related to the Diana Award. This is from Connie Balmer. If I was up in the Swiss mountains and I was watching a herd of sheep grazing, that's what it would sound like. Or is it goats? I'm going to say it's probably sheep. Okay. Oh, you like those chairs? Yeah, I guess they are kind of nice, aren't they? Yeah, I think they are kind of nice. But I think it's kind of hard on the taller people, though, because it's like your knees are almost up to your ears. So I don't think they're really meant for stage. They probably would do better in living room. I'm kind of obsessed about that topic of the chairs that they use for these forums. I think sometimes they just sit too low and probably sit a little too comfortable. Um, you know what I'm saying? Harry is like doing everything he can to not sink into the chair. And the lady on the left there, she must be kind of tall, or maybe it's just her heels. But yeah, I think that your hips should not be that much lower than your knees, at least not so much lower. But yeah, I'm kind of obsessed about that topic. But I would love one of those in my living room, to be honest with you. They are some nice chairs. They seem so comfortable. Okay, so that is what happened. That is one of those Diana Award events. So that was last night. Again, you can see it on the Sussex Royal. Wait a minute. Okay. I got the wrong slides. Lordy have mercy. I got the wrong slides. Do I? Let me try that again. Yeah, I got the wrong slides. Okay, coming up. Okay, everything I just said, blah, blah, blah. Where are the rest of my slides that I meticulously put together? That is so weird. Where is, oh my God, what happened to the rest of my slides? Oh, okay. Yeah, I just had a couple of blank ones in there. Oh my God, that scared me for a second there. I was like, baby, baby, where did my slides go? Ooh, why am I keep singing? I got to stop making up songs. Sometimes I can't control it. Baby, baby, where did my slides go? Ooh, those memories. Do you want me no more? Baby, baby. Ooh, baby, baby. Okay. I must be in a good mood. You would never know. You would never know. Okay. I was going to run an errand today, right? How about I couldn't get the car started? I couldn't get my car started. Now, I don't know if this has something to do with the squirrels eating part of my engine. Well, the squirrels they ate some of the wires, right? They ate some of the wires. They gnawed on some of the wires and the engine cover. Very awkward. So couldn't get the car to start. Do you know that the motor club took only like, I'm going to say 15 or 20 minutes? I couldn't believe it. About 15 or 20 minutes, they were there. And then I was like, you know what? This happened before. Surely the battery is under warranty. He said, I'll check. Do you know he told me the battery warranty just passed? He said, yeah, you got it in 2021. I said, well, why is the battery not working? This is almost to the day of the end of the warranty, and the battery just stops working. So I had to call, well, the office called me and I approved the purchase of a new battery. And I tried to stay calm, but when she asked me, she said, okay, I'm going to need your credit card details. I gave her the credit card number, right? And then she said, what is the expiration date? I said, for what? For the battery or for the card? I said, because if it's for the battery, chances are in about 30 months, in about 30 months, I believe I'm going to be calling you again. So what do you want? Do we want to count from now to 30 months? Or do you want me to give you the expiration for the card? Because either way, I got you. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that came from. It was just out of the blue. I was a little frustrated though, and I'm just like, well, where's the batteries with the lifetime guarantee and stuff, like the Die Hard? Don't you all have something like that? And of course, you get whatever battery they have on the truck. So anyway, the guy got there so fast, I really can't complain. But I just bought a battery from them. Do you understand? 2021. I just bought a battery from them. And here we go again. So I couldn't believe it. I was too outdone. But I didn't want to get stuck again. So I said, just give me the battery. But yeah, that was unexpected. Unexpected. I thought with the age of the vehicle, this is like the last battery I'll ever buy for this car. No, it wasn't. And if I have it in 30 months, I'm going to have to do it again. I mean, literally to the day it just gave out. Maybe that's why he was so close. Maybe he has something where he clicks a button and the battery just dies. Lydia Washington gifted 1 new Royal Sussex membership. Thank you so much. And thank you, of course, for being a moderator as well as a member of Royal Sussex yourself. So thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a plot. I mean, I think she said it was like 30 months or whatever it was. That fast? That fast? I barely drive. Okay, so enough of that. Graham Smith says there's only one senior military officer on this balcony. We talked about that last night. And even he retired from the Navy 15 years ago. Edward and Anne have never served. William and Charles have never earned rank and medals are earned the ranks and medals they're wearing. Neither one of them. And yet there they are standing proudly like they're like this big military family. It's gross. It is so gross that they do that. The Slim Down Dressing Up Box. That's a good name for it. The Slim Down Dressing Up Box. And we have not heard from Martin of what is the name of his channel again? Ministry of Hacks. We have not heard from him in a while, so let's do a very quick Martin. Morning. Morning. It's morning, and we spent the night away.
Hey friends, happy Monday. Harry's return to the royal fold is impossible after his dramatic interview. Hold on a minute, let's stick with the facts. Not once in the 5 years post-Brexit has Harry asked to come back and be any form of working or non-working royal. They upped their life to a different country. They left, they turned their backs on the UK for a very good reason. And don't forget the most important point. Over the last 5 years, Harry has been doing exactly what we've been doing. We've been stood on the sidelines watching outright lies, misdirection, false information, spewing out of the non-working taxpayer-funded royal family on a regular basis. We've watched them take tens of millions of pounds in that time period. Actually, it's hundreds of millions of pounds in the 5 years out of the UK economic system to make themselves richer whilst doing very little. We've watched Andrew bounce from one scandal to the next scandal, to the next scandal, to the next scandal. He's watched it all. He's seen the same as us. Do you really think he wants his name, his wife, and his children to be associated with laziness, theft, misdirection, and scandal after scandal? No. He's away. Stay away, Harry. Keep building your life. As ever, comments are open. Have a brilliant Monday. Let me know what you.
Well, thank you, Martin. So very, very wise observations. Now, I am going to make sure that I put this link on the community post. This is, Republic has a YouTube channel, and I'm just going to title it this. Okay. Wait, did that go or no? No, let me try that again. Watch this. Okay, I hope I didn't do that twice. Nope, only once. Only once. Got it. Okay. All right, perfect. So that is, of course, Republic. They have a channel on YouTube. I'm only going to play just the beginning of this, just so you can hear some of the words that are being used to describe that that clan family. I would say she kind of wakes up. She wakes up from being a Commonwealth in a Commonwealth country. Yeah, maybe that's a good way to describe it.
Don't think there was a specific point. I just remember thinking this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like this just doesn't make sense. I've never really been somebody that reveres authority anyway. So any sort of structure that you show me, I'm going to want to know why.
Yeah.
Why are we listening? Why do we have to listen to this? Why do we have to do this? And I think of all of the structures I've looked at throughout my life, the monarchy happens to be the most ridiculous.
Okay, I love the use of the term ridiculous, and also strategized amnesia.
Mhm.
I think we should start using that, because that, it feels like, as we've been recording the other podcasts, that's come up quite a lot, that there's a huge scandal with Prince Andrew, or a huge scandal with the racist treatment of Meghan Markle,
Mhm.
and then it just goes away again.
Yeah, because it's necessary. I think that that's really the true power of white supremacy, white supremacist heteropatriarchy, which is what the monarchy, as we know it specifically in Britain, that's what it relies on. It relies on this kind of vehicle, this machine for it to keep working. And one of the things that happens with that is that you just have to tell people that what they see now is the only thing that's ever been. So when I think about when the British soldiers were leaving Nigeria and other colonized places, what happens? They have to burn a lot of documents. They have to burn all proof that these things happened. If you go even like before that, you think about libraries, you tend to hear that, oh, these people are illiterate, these Africans, as they, you know, everybody in one sort of term, they're illiterate. But there were libraries, there were expansive libraries that were destroyed. And then you were taught a new history. And that history actually doesn't really involve you, you know.
Okay, so as you can see, she gets very deep. It's about an hour long, as you can see, and she gets very deep. So, Duchess Royal, when will we have the pleasure of another one of your amazing videos again? When will we have the pleasure? As a matter of fact, I kind of was listening to this and I was thinking about you. I'm just like, okay, she's going to incorporate something from this in her next video. So anyway, you all, that's Glow from Duchess Royal. And oh, she has an amazing channel and she does some amazing work, you guys. Oh, wait, what is this morning? 7:38. Oh, yeah, I'm on super late tonight. I am on super late. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for being here. But I didn't listen to this entire video myself, but I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I love the way that Graham Smith, who of course is the guy with the glasses that you see in the picture, I love the way he trolls the royals. You know, for a minute there, he was kind of misdirecting his efforts toward the Sussexes, but after a few of the squatties had a little conversation with him, he realized the errors, not the errors, but the errors of his ways, and we've had no trouble out of him since. So, yes, please do. And you guys, please make sure you go over and like and subscribe Duchess Royal. She does God's work. That's all I can tell you. I have no other way to describe it without sounding completely disingenuous. She is doing God's work. Okay, I'm going to pin the link to the top of the chat. Thank you very much, Lydia Washington. Imagine if there was a one-stop shop, right, where you can find all that you want to know in a chronological order. A chronological order mixed with a lot of good humor and a lot of great, accurate information. These are the only videos I ever watched twice. Okay, that I'm just telling you. That's how good they are, how well they're made, and how important it is to have that as resource as well as receipts. We love receipts in the Sussex Squad. So thank you again, Glow from Duchess Royal, and we'll be looking forward to the next video. Okay. Now, speaking of the balcony, we remember before the slam down monarchy, this was the balcony. As a matter of fact, this was Meghan's first appearance on the balcony. I am intimately aware of that because standing probably about 300 yards away was some loser from Chicago who hadn't had a proper holiday in 10 years. No, I think it was 9 years. 9 years, did not have a proper holiday. So I decided to take a trip of a lifetime. So not only did I see the Sussexes on their wedding day, I also saw them at Troop in the Color. So this is, of course, the full house. This is the full house. That is the way the Queen liked it, right? And then you go here. This is, I believe Meghan was with child, or should I say with Archie. They were with Archie. And again, one of the last full houses that they would have. And take a look there. This gives you the tabloid media explanation of things. Let's see, not attending, attending. So you have those people that are attending, but pushed to the peripheric, you have what is it? Adoro, Edadoro, Monopoly, whatever. I just call them Monopoly. And then you got Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, the Duchess of Sussex, Her Royal Highness Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, His Royal Highness Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, and the bartender Jax Brookbank, and of course Sarah, Duchess of York. She had only just got back in there, but then she got kicked out again. And of course her husband. Don't want to see them around anymore either. So what you have left is the Duke of Gloucester. I don't even see Princess Michael of Kent. Oh, there she. Nope. I don't even see her. Wow. Maybe she's standing too far to the left because that's where she usually likes to hang out. But anyway, I don't even see her here. So slim down monarchy, here you go. If you thought that this, or should I say, if Charles thought that this looks problematic to the public, having so much of the extended family on the balcony, that he wanted to reduce it to this, the next big change that they need to make, get those civilians out of those uniforms. Get those civilians out of those uniforms. They have no right to stand there as though theirs has been the struggle of a lifetime to get through military training. William did what the hell he wanted to, including losing a firearm and allegedly stealing the helicopter, allegedly. Charles, well, they surrounded him with a lot of talented people to make sure there would be no tragedies. I'll just say that. But at least he spent some time. And then, of course, behind him is, oh gosh, what is he, the Duke of? Oh, the Duke of Kent. Oh, his wife is missing. Where is Princess Michael of Kent? You know, she's been ailing. No, he's not married to the Princess Michael of Kent. That's his brother. I'm sorry, that's his brother. So where's his wife? Did she die? I don't remember what happened to her. Did she die? Anyway, there's Princess Anne. She is actually wearing a uniform that honors her mother. So, okay, I don't have a problem with that. But then there's Edwina. I'm going to skip Timothy Lawrence, who is the other tall person on the balcony. He actually had a long career in the military, in the Navy. But Edward and Sophie, okay, Sophie has one of those honorary things, so she's not in uniform. But Edward is. Edward should not be in uniform. He is making a mockery of it. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. But I'm going to give Kate credit because this is one of the few times she's been able to look up and keep her mouth closed at the same time. So that is progress. Usually whenever she looks up, her mouth pops open. I think it comes from having too much adjustments, if you know what I mean. I think, you know what I'm trying to say. If you had too many alleged procedures, then every time you look up, your mouth is going to pop open. And that's been a issue that she's had for some time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, if I was a betting man and someone asked me, oi, mate, why does her mouth pop open every time she look up? I would just say, hey, I think if you get enough work done, your mouth would pop open too. You all don't believe me, huh? Well, okay, check this out. It doesn't just happen when she looks up. It also happens when she looks down. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Her mouth pops open. It's just, listen, you guys, I am not being critical. I don't think any of us, let me say this with a straight face. I don't think any of us would be comfortable aging in front of the entire world, especially when people have gone on and on and on about our appearance. If the only big achievement that you have had in life is showing up and wearing the right coat dress, you would want to get that right too. So let's not make fun of her. She's doing the best she can. Shelly L says, Baron, I'm sorry, hi Baron. How are you doing? All I see is a balcony full of stolen valor. Here, here. Exactly. Stolen valor. And by the way, thank you for the super chat. The only other thing that grates on my nerves more than pretty much everything I just said, I still cannot unsee Charles over in Paris or over in France wearing that ridiculous field marshal uniform. I cannot stop seeing this. It's everywhere. When my mind wanders and I have a quiet moment, I keep seeing this. I don't know why this bothers me so bad. It just, you see all these world leaders there, all these world leaders, so many of them elected to their positions, And then here comes Charlie Windsor wearing this ridiculous field marshal uniform like he's in some kind of Monty Python skit. And he wants people to take him serious. And then just to complete the look, he brings some type of scepter or baton or something to complete the look, as though he's going to dispatch some type of directions to the troops in the field or something like that. Oh my God, somebody please pull him aside and let him know this is not proper, that he looks flipping ridiculous. I cannot stop seeing that uniform. That bothers me. So eventually, if it's up to Republic, this will be the slim down monarchy. It's going to be so slim that it's going to disappear. Lock, stock, and barrel. This is the future of the slim down monarchy. Yeah. Give it some time. Give it some time. Looks good. It's very uniform, very neat, very minimalist. All of that bright Portland, was it Portland sandstone? Portland stone? Yeah. Looks like a perfect balcony to me. Now, you guys, trigger warning. Trigger warning. These two right here, trigger warning. Remember, it's not about race. Just keep saying it to yourself. It's not about race. It's not about race. They won't ever tell you what it is, but it's clearly not about race. Not from that institution, not from that family. It never is.
There was no fine print around the use of HRH for commercial or non-commercial purposes. It was very simple. They will no longer use their HRH. It was very clear.
Pretty clear. There's been a bit of a stir about Meghan using Her Royal Highness.
Well, Her Royal Highness isn't supposed to use Her Royal Highness.
It was funny, wasn't it? When Megxit happened, they said you can keep Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and they maintain her and His Royal Highness.
But they're not allowed to use them.
But they're not allowed to use them. And they agreed they wouldn't do anything that would bring the kind of royal brand into disrepute by any commercial.
Uphold the values of Her Majesty.
Exactly.
And there was no, at the time that, the Sandringham summit was sort of struck, a lot of negotiations backwards and forwards about what that deal would look like when they left. But when we got that statement at the end of the Sandringham summit, I remember it coming in on a Saturday night going, there was no fine.
Okay, let me just say this. I believe that's Roy Anika that just said, oh, I remember it came out on a Saturday night. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She wants you to believe that she saw that agreement and thought that, oh, this might come back to haunt us or them. No, she didn't. She's not that sharp. Really, she's not. Nobody is. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody even thought, well, at least let me say this. The very pro-monarchy, the very institutional people, they didn't think that the Sussexes would be able to make it on their own. That was the whole point of the Sandringham Agreement, was that they would learn how harsh the real world is and come crawling back to the bosom of the institution. So, of course, she wants us to think that she felt otherwise. I don't believe she did. If she did feel that way, she should have brought it up. But if we cannot find evidence that it bothered you at the time, then you're just making this up. You just want to look good, so you're making this up. Those titles were gifted to the Sussexes by the Queen. Now, okay. Let me tell you why what she's saying does not make sense. Because the Queen did not envision a day that her grandson, her great-grandchild, and of course her granddaughter-in-law, she did not envision a day where there would be forces within the institution denying them their status of HRH and the ability to be protected by the royal protection officers, right? She did not envision a day where that would change, which is why she wrote a letter, or she had her, secretary draft that letter saying that it is imperative that they receive adequate protection. And the only way that a royal receives that kind of protection is if they have an HRH. So why are you pretending as though you felt differently about it? Because surely you didn't know that the Sussexes were going away and never coming back. Nobody knew that. Per Sandringham Agreement, it was a year to see what would happen. A 1-year agreement for their allowance, their money from the duchy given to them by Charles. It had nothing to do with the Royal Protection Officers. It had nothing to do with that. They just wanted to see if they could make it on their own. It had nothing to do with them losing their HRH. And the only reason, let's be clear about this, the only reason why the Sussexes were forced to leave is because of the continued abuse that they received. They were singled out from the rest of the family, everything they did, especially when it came to finances. They would not stop talking about that Frogmore cottage and how much it cost. These same people know how many millions of dollars that the Cambridges cost the tax-paying subjects with the renovation of apartment 1 at Kensington Palace. They know how much it costs for them to replace the driveway at Admiral Hall. The public paid for that. So stop pissing on my leg and telling me that it's raining.
Print around the use of HRH for commercial or non-commercial purposes. It was very simple. They will no longer use their HRH.
Mhm.
It was very clear.
Pretty clear. Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. And this emerged when Meghan did a podcast this week, not her own podcast, but a podcast with her friend Jamie Kern-Lima, who owns a
Hello?
Okay. I'm sorry. I need to interrupt, though. It was pretty clear. That's misleading. That's misleading. They are not supposed to use their title of HRH for the purposes of commerce or trade. I repeat, they were forbidden per handshake agreement. There was nothing in writing that they would not use their HRH titles for the purposes of trade or commerce. Sending a jar of preserve or whatever spread and 2 tubs of ice cream to your friend on whatever stationery was handy does not mean that she was using her HRH status. She wasn't even flaunting it. She had no idea it was going to go public. So that's misleading. That's misleading. They are misleading the public. I'm sorry, it's buffering.
It was very simple. They will no longer use their HRH.
Mhm.
It was very clear.
Pretty clear. Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. And this emerged when Meghan did a podcast this week, not her own podcast, but a podcast with her friend Jamie Kern-Lima, who owns a cosmetics company. And there was a YouTube video of it and a shot of a basket from a while ago that Meghan had dropped round to her friend, including some raspberry, not jam or spread, but it was like sauce. Or strawberry sauce.
She said
that
she
she'd made for her.
had some spread in the fridge there, didn't she? Her
Yeah.
friend said. She said it's been there for all year, so
But
I
it
don't know why she's
came
eaten it.
with a note card that said, with the compliments of HRH, the Duchess of Sussex. Now, it's kicked up a bit of a stink, hasn't it?
Well, it has, because, and quite rightly so, really, because
They're not
it's
supposed to be using that.
That's not really the deal.
And then the next day, when all the stink had been kicked up, there were sources close to Meghan briefing various media outlets that actually, I mean, this I found this fascinating. She uses the HRH to try and in order to feel relevant.
That is also misleading. Oh my God, I almost dropped the F-bomb. Okay, hold on. That is also misleading, Roy Anika. You don't know why she uses the HRH. She uses it whenever she wants to use it because she is Her Royal Highness Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And so in an official capacity that does not involve trade or commerce, she has a right to use it. If she wants to send a note card to a friend, she has the right to use it. Whatever she wants to use it for, that is her affair. Now, they agreed to not use it for trade or commerce. But as a very wise Leg said some time ago, was it Legs that said that? That said that contract was void because they failed to live up to the part of the agreement with the allowance as well as the royal protection. So essentially, 4 months into that agreement, or was it even that long? 3 or 4 months into that agreement, you all broke the deal. You all deviated from the agreement. So that means that essentially they can do whatever they want to. Now, they are free to retaliate if they choose. But the point is, until such time, the Sussexes can do whatever they want to. That was a gift from Queen Elizabeth II. And if they want to set a precedence of removing such titles or what do you call it? Anyway, if they want to remove something like that, a title that has been lawfully and legally conferred by Queen Elizabeth II, then they will set a precedence that would very likely have a ripple effect, because there have been some very questionable lords and ladies throughout the history of the aristocracy that should have lost their titles, but essentially they were just, they had become pariahs and they were outcasts from society until the title went to their next in line. There was really nothing that was done about it. So Lex says Roya said that Charles III sent Harry and Meghan invites in 2023. Liar. They are making up stuff in this podcast. They are literally making up stuff. And Roy and Nika, you know, much like, oh gosh, what is his name? Robert Jobson. She has been definitely capable of dropping the occasional truth bomb. But because the traction that Harry made with that interview, it has been all hands on deck to keep this ship from sinking. They want everybody who is within the whisper of a television studio or a podcast or whatever means of communication, they want all of them to push back against all things Harry and Meghan. They cannot have them appear to be sympathetic or reasonable.
And uses it for her. And then there was
sometimes I think when you're in a hole, best just to stop digging.
There was an attempt to try and say she's allowed to use it for personal use, but that wasn't the deal, was it?
I think there would have been better just to let that story slide and perhaps thought, that's one for the future. We'll just take that off the letterhead, because that isn't, that isn't how they were supposed to do it. And I do think these things will kind of change. They'll decide what they want to do, and that's the trouble with it. That if they're not pulled up for it, and there's no appetite from the king to start sending them messages or anything like that, because it will just add fuel to the fire. But I think they'll just do what they want to do over time.
Now that was the one that was the one with the pink dress on the right side that finished that up with, they'll just do what they want to do. That was her saying that. But you could see the way Roy Anika's face has so many expressions while she searched for words to mislead us on the actual Sandringham summit, right? Notice the way she has to cast her eyes upward as though she's looking for the answers on the ceiling. The answer is they can do with it what they will. They can do with it what they will. And I didn't think about that. But this is why it's so great that a lot of very intelligent people come together. I didn't even think about the fact, honey bun. Anyway, I didn't really think about the fact that they essentially voided that agreement 6 weeks into it. It was 6 weeks before they pulled the Royal Protection Officers. It was 6 weeks before they decided to end any financial agreement. 6 weeks. And then, of course, 6 weeks after they left Canada and moved to LA and stayed at Tyler Perry's mansion, it was another 6 weeks before someone in that institution leaked their whereabouts as they were in communication with the family, of course, the Queen and Philip. But someone leaked their whereabouts. Hello, is this the Daily Mail? Senior Royal here. I said Senior Royal here. Hello. Hello. Somebody leaked it. That's what happened. It is just amazing to me. I cannot get used to it. As much as I have witnessed this, I can still not get used to the fact that these very intelligent sounding, reasonable sounding, and listen, you guys, there is a bit of a thing here in the US. We're not a Commonwealth country, but there is a Commonwealth mentality that most Americans have. I'm going to tell you what that is, even if people don't want to admit to it. But there is a notion when we watch movies and television shows, there is a notion of a sophistication, of an integrity that comes with that English accent. Oh, we're so impressed by it. Oh, we're so impressed by it. That's something that has been spoon-fed to us. And I promise you, if you mention this to another American, most of them will say, nah, not me. But that is kind of true also, because at the same time, the way we're always so enamored and so in awe of this very cultured accent, there's also this thing about an English accent usually reflects the evil scientist, the diabolical figure. You know, kind of like what's his name in the Harry Potter, the one that whatever that actor is, the one that was always so mean to him. That's the other way we see some British people, is that they're going to be mean to us. They're going to say things we don't understand, and they're going to put us down. And you know, that's part of it too. So it's a very generalized version of how we see Brits, especially older generation like myself. That's the way we see them, is that they are either these incredibly smart people that are going to make us smarter just by virtue of their presence, or they're plotting against us. So the reason why I'm saying this, I just want you to understand how some people view conversations like this from people like that, right? Especially if you're talking about the royal family, then they have to be right. If they're discussing the royal family, surely they wouldn't mislead us. And that's one of the reasons why so many people believe everything they say about Meghan, because they feel like, oh, they have that posh accent, so they must know the way the system works. Surely they wouldn't just mislead us about this using the title thing. But that's exactly what has just happened. Not just here, but all over the place. Misleading. Oversimplifying something that is not so complicated, but they make it complicated by oversimplifying it, by dismissing the actual events, and by further validating this idea that Harry is confused and Meghan is misleading. Harry is just confused. Yes, and Duchess Royal, I wish I could take credit for it, but it was not me. I believe it was Legs that mentioned that as soon as they reneged and took the security and the money away, then that turned into what agreement? What agreement? What you talking about? What agreement? I don't know nothing about no agreement. I know you took my security away. I know you took the money away. So what agreement? But Roy Anika and whoever this other lady is, they're making it seem so official. Oh my God. They know they weren't supposed to do that. That's not what was supposed to be done. Let me play the end of that again. Let me play the end of that again, because I want you to know the difference between because to me they sound alike, of course, because I'm American, they sound alike. But let's get to the lady with the ugly dress on again.
The sources close to Meghan briefing various media outlets that actually, I mean, this I found this fascinating. She uses the HRH to try and in order to feel relevant.
Now that's Roy Anika,
and uses it for her. And then there was
Sometimes I think
now here comes the girl with the ugly dress.
we're in a hole. Best just to stop digging.
there was an attempt
and
to try and
and-
say she's allowed to use it for personal use, but that wasn't the deal, was it?
I think
That was Roy Anika again, but that wasn't the deal, was it?
I think there would have been better just to let that story slide
I
and
agree.
perhaps thought, that's one for the future. We'll just take that off the letterhead, because that isn't, that isn't how they're supposed to do it. And I do think these things will kind of change. They'll decide what they want to do, and that's the trouble with it. That if they're not pulled up for it, and there's no appetite from the king to start sending them messages or anything like that, because it will just add fuel to the fire. But I think they'll just do what they want to do over time.
Okay, so that was the ugly dress that finished it off there. They'll just do what they want to do. It is theirs to do with it what they want to do. Now, there are examples of other royals using their HRH, Princess Michael of Kent. There are other royals that have done exactly that. But for the purposes of commerce and trade, I repeat, Harry and Meghan have not used their HRH. And for all we know, listen, there was stationery that belongs to them. And certainly you're not going to just burn it. You're not going to just burn the stationery. It's yours to use. And so if Meghan chooses to use the HRH, that is her decision. She's not flaunting it. It was on a basket that she never knew anybody would ever see it. She couldn't know that. Yes, there's always that possibility, but Meghan doesn't slide the basket on the porch and then sit in the car and sit in the driveway and look over the steering wheel and wait and see the look on their face when they see, oh, it's from and then Meghan rushes home back to Montecito, back to the Montecito Manor, and just wait. And then she and Harry, they start doing bets. Harry, Meghan, and the nanny, and Doria. They all start putting their money in the pile, trying to take bets on how long it's going to take before that makes it to the internet and go viral. How long is that going to take? If it wasn't for the As Ever, if it wasn't for the With Love Meghan, it probably would have gone unnoticed. If it was just any other basket, it would have gone unnoticed. And then let us not forget Archie and Lilibet in their little play date circles, them pushing cookies across the table, making and wagering bets on how long is it going to take for that what do you call it, letterhead to become viral. Even the kids are, even Pula and what's that other dog? Even they getting into it. The chickens, everybody's betting. Everybody's going online first thing to see how long is it going to take. Now, mind you, that was over a year ago, but you get the point. They were all sitting around wagering exactly how long it would take for that to become a viral moment. Lex says the UK propaganda bothers me. They want to promote Bond and is it Bond and Harry Potter? However, they ignore the Billy Elliot beautiful laundrettes and East is what is that? East is East. I got that. But yeah, that's the way they want us to see it. Is the ultimate gentleman, warrior, servant of the crown, James Bond, and of course Harry Potter. Very intelligent children that have superpowers. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Listen, I'm not speaking for everyone, for every American, but I'm just telling you, growing up, there was a certain idea of how we viewed anything British. And I was so fascinated by it, I couldn't wait to go to London. And I still love London. London is just, it's like being in a postcard. It really is like being in a postcard. It's so familiar because you've seen so much, you heard so much. And it's unfortunate that a lot of Americans, well, I'll just say a lot of squatties may never go there who've always wanted to go because of the way the royal family has behaved. But, you know, that's an individual choice because London is not the royal family. London is the people. It's the people that make London. And you meet some amazing people there. You'll meet amazing people all over Britain. I know this firsthand. If you set aside all of that nonsense that comes out of that institution, it is a great place to visit. I sat on a park bench in St. James Park, and this guy, I couldn't tell you how old he was. I was probably in my late 40s at the time, maybe, I don't recall. And he was probably 30 years my senior. And we just talked about the war and that kind of stuff. And it was just fascinating. We were just two people that were passing the time. And I'm just like, wow, I cannot believe here. I'm here in the UK. And I'm not going to let those people on that balcony ruin that for me. Because at the end of the day, it was the people, not the crown, not the royal family, but it was the people that I got to know. And especially when they know you're from someplace else, you're not really a threat to them. That's my theory about when you travel. When people know you from someplace else, they don't really see you as a threat unless they think you're trying to stay. If you're on holiday, fine. But if you're trying to stay, then that's when the knives come out. But it seemed like every place I went, everybody was trying to help me have the best experience of my life. And that was the way I saw it. So thank you, Legs, for the super chat. And as usual, thank you for being a moderator and a member of Royal Sussex. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, excuse me. It's just like with the Republican Party here in the US. They get their talking points first thing in the morning and throughout the day. Through every medium, they all stay on message. And that's how they are so successful, is because they all stay on message. No matter how ridiculous it is, they all stay on message. Oh, Connie Bomber, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for being here. What's that? Well, let me see. There's a little Irish and there's a little, I think, is it Scottish? And I think there's a little Welsh. You know, those DNA things, they change over time. And that's the one thing you want to remember about taking the DNA test, is that it establishes that you've had a common ancestor, right? It establishes a common ancestor. And those figures change over time because the greater the sample that they have for the pool of DNA test, the more precise the results. So if you go back and check it again and over time, you'll find out that it kind of splinters. Whereas you thought you were more of this and more of that, you'll find out that it's a little different. So from the first time I took a DNA test to the last time I took one, it shifted a bit. So mostly sub-Saharan African, but then a certain percentage of it is spread throughout Europe and Asia, I think. And no Native American whatsoever. Let's see here. Leg says UK propagandize everything they colonize. US didn't sip all the tea, literally. We drive our cars as the French do, who were the first. No cricket. Yes, we don't play cricket. Thank you for that, Legs. Yeah, thank you so much for that. But yeah, it's the language. It's the language that really establishes the connection. Is the language. But aside from that, hold on, let me take a sip of water here. If you ever visit the U.S., you'll find out that there are so many ethnic influences across the United States. Now, in the big metropolitan areas, you have a lot of influence from obviously African Americans because of the Great Migration. You'll also have a lot of influence from Italians and Poles and Irish and you name it. You name it. That influence is there. It also the French, because throughout the Midwest, all the way from, gosh, the states that border Canada, all the way down to Louisiana, you're gonna find that there are so many streets named with French names, especially Lafayette. But there's so many of them. There's so many like first generation French that lived in the area of the Louisiana Purchase and such. But growing up, like they have so many streets in California that have Spanish names, right? In the Midwest, there's a lot of French names for towns, streets, and so on, because that was a major part of the influence, and especially starting from, I would say, New Orleans, and you work your way up into the Midwest, that the influence kind of fades a bit, but it is still there. It is still very much there. So yeah, there's just so many different influences that makes the US what it is. And people lump us all together when the truth is every state has its own thing going on. The laws vary from state to state. And didn't we talk about that before, that there was however many individual police agencies in the US? Municipal, county, state, federal, railroad, airport. I mean, you name it, there's some kind of police agency for it. And even the college campuses, they have just as much right to issue you a moving violation or to arrest you as any other police force. They are serious police force. So that means that even in a big city like Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, you may have a whole nother police force that has very little to do with the municipality that you're in or the county that you're in. They have their own thing. They're kind of governed by their own laws. It's incredible. But what is it like? Somebody looked that number up. I think it's like 14,000 police agencies. Maybe that's not even high enough a number, but the number is staggering. So that means you never get treated the same way twice, ever. That's why bad cops can go from one agency to the next, because there is so little oversight. Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah. Well, Dr. Lewis Henry Gates, or Lewis, yeah, whatever his name is, he discussed that, and he said, yes, there are a lot of African Americans that have the native bloodline, but there's also a lot that do not. They do not. What people assumed was, native influence was actually European, and that's just a fact. So it depends. I mean, there are certain places where there's more, and then there's certain places where there's less. But I heard something very interesting the other day. Oh, approximately 18,000 police agencies in the United States. These include federal, state, county. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Wow. Wow. Oh, thank you, Marshar. That is insane. That is insane because that's like 18,000 ways to train people to be a police officer, 18,000 policies that exist here and no place else. Staggering, isn't it? That's why I keep my hands are always at 10 and 6. I keep my hands at 10 and 6. That 18,000 is the reason why I keep my hands at 10 and 6. Well, anyway, yeah, very, very interesting history. So you guys that are not from the US, I would say the same thing about the UK. I would say the same thing about France. I would say the same thing about any nation in Africa. Don't lump us all together. We are very different people. We have very different cultures, and we don't all sound the same. There's accents that are block by block, city by city, state by state. We're not all alike. We're not a monolith, as they say. Certainly not a monolith. But we do eat too much and talk about money all the time. That is true. We eat too much and we talk about money all the time. Let's see. Noella, is it Versace? Versace? Thank you so much for the new membership. And as always, thank you for being here on Royal Sussex. Yeah, so I think about the fact that, not everybody is aware of how things work here. So I try to briefly explain differences that I think may be helpful or beneficial to people outside of the United States, because unless you have really delved into the culture, there's a lot of things that you just could not know how things work here, like, with any other country. So I try to be helpful whenever possible to explain those differences. Okay, let's move on. So this guy right here, I did my best to, but anyway, I downloaded the video. Very sharp guy, very sharp guy. You have to listen closely because well, I would say the same thing about some of my relatives, especially my father. I so many of those colorful colloquiums that I have used. One thing about people from the South, just when you think you heard just about every old saying, every colloquium that you could think of, they always come up with a new one. Like Dolly Parton. There are so many people, especially the older generation, that talk just like Dolly Parton. This is why I bond with Dolly Parton, because if I didn't know that Dolly Parton was white, I'd be like, are you sure you ain't black? Because that's something that black and white have in common, from like the rural South or even some of the largest cities in the South. But those little colorful phrases, you think you've heard them all, but you haven't. Comparing this to that, you have not heard them all. So, okay. I'm gonna, oh, let me grab the video. Yeah, there was one that my father used that was, oh my God, it doesn't make any sense. And I heard it my whole life, and I don't even like to say it in mixed company, but less anybody should wonder about where I come from. But it has a certain flow to it. It's almost Cockney if you think about it, because it has a certain rhythm to it. But I have to really get to know people before I let slip that one. Oh my God. But yeah, thinking about where I come from lets me know why I've had it so tough in life. How did I survive? I don't know. I guess I had to live off my wits, but uh, okay. That being said, what did I? Oh, maybe I. You know what? Maybe I didn't send it over there. That's what it is. Maybe I didn't put it over there. Now I understand why. Never mind. I got it. I did not move it to where I needed to move it to. Okay, let's try it then, shall we? Let's give her a try. Nope, that's not it. Okay, go on one more time.
Regardless of how Harry's interviews landed, aye, he's no the sharpest tool in the royal tool shed, eh? But let's not forget how this started. The British press went after Meghan Markle with a vengeance. And not because she did anything scandalous. For the crime of being mixed race, American, a feminist woman marrying into the whitest institution in Britain. And it was heavy on the racist stuff. The Daily Mail ran Harry's girl is almost straight out of Compton, then talked about her mother's gang-scarred home. I bet you didn't know she worked in television and then did a master's and became a social worker. Another headline said, Meghan's exotic DNA. Exotic as in half African American. The African part. Not able to say which part of Africa our ancestors were from, because you know the whole transatlantic slavery thing. I doubt they're talking about her father's German ancestry. Nah, we don't have a problem with Germans in the British royal family, do we? They called her uppity, difficult, and too woke for Windsor. All while praising Kate for doing the exact same things. Meghan ate avocado toast. Apparently she was fueling drought and human rights abuses. The dividing factor in press treatment here, skin pigmentation. It wasn't random. Bot Sentinel found 70% of hate tweets came from just 83 accounts. A coordinated campaign. Maybe the same 83 guys that jump on My Reform UK content. MP Chris Bryant said the press monetised the hate. They filled their websites with Meghan Markle bashing because it got clicks. And clicks mean money. He called it a perversion of journalism. When US Weekly published a glowing piece about Meghan's leadership, the Daily Beast hit back with an anonymous source hit job, clearly coordinated. There are even allegations tabloids tried to pay people to lie about her. And keep in mind, she lived in the UK for about 3 years, barely spoke in public. But the smear campaign was a daily thing. Because they're not about her. They're about preserving and narrative. The British press used Meghan to stir up cliques, culture wars and online abuse. The same machine that delivered Brexit, small boat hysteria, and now it's Frankenstein monster, Farage. All while the monarchy kept cashing in royal cheques, and we paid for it. In 2023, the monarchy cost UK taxpayers 86 million, an institution worth billions that still won't pay inheritance tax like the rest of us. Let's be clear, King Charles does not pay tax on the Duchy of Lancaster, doesn't even pay the 40% inheritance tax like the rest of us. And that's not symbolic wealth, it's land, rent and profits. Like him and many other large landowners, this is land seized way back in the time of William the Conqueror during the Norman Conquest. That's how backward this setup is. All the while we are told by Labour they can't afford winter fuel payments or PIP. The Tories told us we couldn't afford anything, left the NHS on its knees, schools crumbling and closed half everything. But somehow there's always money for gold-plated parades and royal helicopters. So let's talk about fairness. Not Meghan's tone, not Harry's memoir or daft interviews. Let's talk about why you and I pay more tax on our wages than a king does on his estate. The press framed Meghan as a problem because she made the monarchy look outdated, when in reality it is outdated by at least a couple centuries. And the mechanism that has preserved the status quo hasn't done it any favours in that regard. Meghan's inclusion in the royals was symbolic for many modern Brits. Her inclusion was a type of progress. We live in a multicultural country, whether Farage likes it or not. Why? Because the Crown oversaw the conquest and ruling of a multicultural empire. Because after the war, we needed the Windrush generation and the South Asians to rebuild the country. Because even today, the memory of that caste system put in place during the Empire days means many around the world aspire to come to the UK for a better life. And we're all the better for it. As a Scot, I'm delighted we no longer have to share this island with those crusty Anglo-Saxons alone. I prefer curry and drum and bass to pork pies and Morris dancing. We like to think ourselves as more evolved, sophisticated society than Americans. But they've had a black president. The man, the legend Obama. And their queen is black. But for the media and the Tory-centric political class clinging to nostalgia and hierarchy, Meghan was apparently dangerous. So much so they went full blitzkrieg on her. Headline after headline, click after click. But if we're honest, this wasn't just about Meghan. It's about a country where truth is optional, history is selective, racism is lucrative, and now the centre of a new political party. And privilege gets a pass. I hope you drew your own conclusions on that one. And if that doesn't piss you off, then ask yourself this. Who's really benefiting when you stay angry at the wrong people? Let me know. Should the monarchy be taxed like the rest of us? Look, regardless of how Harry's interviews landed, aye, he's no the sharpest tool in the royal.
Okay, it started to repeat at the end there. But yeah, so as he said, the well, he covered a lot of stuff. He even talked about the Windrush. And of course, he spoke about the fact that migration, immigration, asylum seekers, most nations benefit from, if not all, benefit from that. I saw an Italian American who was visiting London that was protesting the president of the United States and his policies because her ancestors arrived to the United States like so many others. And she reminded people, this Italian American woman in London for whatever the occasion, reminded people that when her ancestors came to the US, they were vilified, they were afraid. They, just like the Irish before them, there was a lot of distrust about their presence in the US. There were people who didn't even think Italian food was healthy, if you could believe that. It wasn't enough meat. They didn't think Italian cooking was healthy. It's almost laughable, some of the notions about different ethnic groups. But just like with so many other immigrants, migrants, the oppressed, in some cases, become the oppressor. And that should not happen. The oppressed become the oppressor. But don't get me started on Palestine. But that happens where the oppressed becomes the oppressor. Such is the way of the world. And that's a real sad commentary, because if there were ever an opportunity to benefit from one another's culture and experiences, just imagine how strong any country would be under those circumstances. So yeah, this is a pretty bright guy. I like him. All right, now I need to go there. That is the next one. We're going to talk about it again because, as a matter of fact, I believe we're going to close with the Met Gala. Let me just take a look at the slides. I do believe that that's how we're going to end this. Probably going to spend about 30 minutes talking about the Met Gala, if that long. Yeah, we're going to end with the Met Gala. So if you need to skedaddle, now is your opportunity, because I'm letting you know now that that's what we're finishing with. Okay. Sonia Johnson, thank you for checking in with us. What's that? I support Princess Meghan. My mom was biracial, Zulu, mother, white father. She was abused painfully. Yeah. I think if there's anything that I would say that people need to recognize, and that is biracial people go through so much. And there's always this notion that, especially, from a community of people that have been oppressed, whatever community, and because of the, shall we say, I guess, well, that, the mentality of seeing everything white is right, right? I don't know if you want to call it a slave mentality, something like with the Commonwealth, where you have all of these people of color who believe everything the royal family say. Usually older people. That kind of mentality. And believe me, we have that here in the US. We have that here in the US, where sometimes older people are suspicious of someone like a Barack Obama, if you could believe that. Not everybody was sold on Barack Obama. They thought him suspicious, because even Black Americans, some Black Americans obviously, could not conceive of a white president. I'm sorry, a Black president. They couldn't conceive of that. They thought something terrible would happen. So that mentality is something that a lot of people have. And especially very oppressed people, that sometimes they are the worst when it comes to someone biracial. They're the worst. You would think that if you're biracial in the US, that you would get more mistreatment from, let's say, white people, but it's the Black people, the people that in all likelihood you identify with the most. From my experience, that's how it usually turns out. You identify with your Black family and your Black community. They don't allow biracial people to have an either or and never both. So if you're biracial, if you're Black and you're biracial, and you identify in any way with your white family, then you may be looked down upon by people from the, let's say, Black side of your family. They want you to make a choice. Very important. You have to make a choice. They want you to grow that Angela Davis afro and get out there and you know, protest and such. But that is something that is like one of the last discriminations, and never really recognized enough as a discrimination, is the way biracial people are treated. It is awful. It is awful. And like anybody else, maybe you feel this way today and that way tomorrow, or you always feel the same, but that should be your choice as a biracial person, how you identify yourself. Either or both, that is your choice. Nobody can choose that for you. So that is one that I've always been fascinated by that. And I hate that some people have been so judgmental of Meghan's experience, how she views this and how she feels about that. But nobody asked Meghan. Meghan's just been living her life. And maybe she didn't know she had to choose. But people want you to choose, to pick a side. That's fine when you're talking about a presidential candidate, but when it's your household, your mother and your father, or your grandparents, that's a lot to put on a child. A lot. Okay, so anyway, thank you for sharing that with us. Vonzola Adams, thank you so much for being here. Palaver Girl, I have been seeing that playing out for years, and I do mean for years. And I used to try to tell people about it, and they thought I was some kind of talking dog. They couldn't understand what I was saying. A lot of people just did not believe that this could be happening in so-called modern times. It's almost like, well, surely if that was happening, somebody would do something about it. You would think, right? But the truth is, the world has looked the other way for a very long time. The world has looked the other way, as if we learned absolutely nothing from World War II, as though we learned absolutely nothing. Oh, okay. Reconstruction, Jim Crow, followed by the betrayal of the suffragettes, make older Black Americans distrustful. Inequities was pervasive. Very, very, very true. Thank you so much for that, Legs. That explains a whole lot in just a few words. It really does. Okay. Good night, Vazanla Adams. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you saying cataract? Was that a cataract removed today? I think that's what you meant. Okay. All right. So I want to just let's spend a little time taking another look at you guys, this was a huge night and people are still talking about it, which is not unusual for the Met Gala. But this is particularly ginormous, not enormous, not gigantic, ginormous. Some of the images from that night are going to linger on the palette, I assure you. It is going to linger. Oh, drama, drama. Oh, just stand there and let us adore you. Lisette says, hi, Baron. Our 4 children are proud to be half Austrian and half South African because I've raised them to appreciate both sides. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Not either or. It should always be both. It really should be both. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, by the way, you guys, I want you to notice the walking stick. The top of that is a whiskey decanter. That is a whiskey decanter. And there were a few people that were carrying those. I don't know if they came from a particular company, but that is a whiskey decanter. So you open that up and you can get a little hooch out of there. You can get some rheumatism medicine out of it. And I do believe I shared the video on the community post. I shared the video for the preparations for this look, which is absolutely bang on perfect. Even the do-rag is perfect. Is that a moment? That is definitely a moment. This is a major, major fashion moment. Now, remember, this is not streetwear. This is not for you to go to your high school prom or your high school, the what do you call it? When they all come back together. Reunion. It's not for your high school reunion. You're certainly not going to get married wearing this. This is wearable art. This is telling the story of the dandy. And this is one of many stories from the night. You can see the exaggerated lapels embellished with chains and brooches, and that's what the dandies would do. They would layer their looks. You work hard all week, and on the weekends, or for some people, every day of the week, you put on your best. You didn't dress for the occasion, you dressed for how you felt. So, now you guys are going to love this. You are absolutely going to love this. Obviously, that is Rihanna, and that is A$AP Rocky, right? One of my favorite couples. I adore them because they're just so perfect together. They're so perfect together, and I pray them the best. So A$AP thought everything was going a certain direction, and so he's like, "Oh yeah, let me get into this picture with my wife." And then all of a sudden, Rocky, if we could maybe do a solo shot of you. And it was just like time stopped. It was like somebody turned the sound down. Do you see the look on his face? Look at his face on the right. even through the glasses, even through the glasses, his face is saying, say what? Rocky, if we could maybe do a solo shot of you. And he replied, man, never got that before. It's usually the other way around. He was totally shocked when they asked him to do a solo photo without Rihanna. Usually he's the one that is excused, and Rihanna is the one who, does what Rihanna does. But much to his shock, they wanted him to stay and wanted her to go. I love that. I love this moment. Because let me tell you, this young man has worked hard, right? This man has worked hard. And, he wants to be in several mediums at the same time. Music, fashion, probably movies, and whatever else. He wants to produce and to create generational wealth. And so this moment has been a long time coming, where they were just like, we want a solo shot of you, if that's okay. And so she left. And Rihanna, you mind stepping forward? That's what they said. Rihanna, you mind stepping forward? And then there he goes. He went to work. He went to work. I mean, when this guy was coming along, if anybody would have told him that he would be modeling and also co-chairing the Met Gala and having his own designer label, who would have believed it? Who would have thought that was possible? So I thought this was an incredible moment. And cheers to him for loving his wife and, being there for her for all the times when they said, can we get a solo shot of you, Rihanna? And he would just, drift away. But now he is the moment. So good for him. Good for him. Also, I didn't understand the look that he had on that night, but after it was explained, it made a lot of sense. He is wearing a jacket that is oversized, and it is a jacket that was very common for the group that he grew up with as a child, as a young man. And so it is the jacket everybody wore, but it was in various colors. But he said everybody wore that jacket. And so that is a homage to the generation he grew up in. So that is why he's wearing that jacket, is because he wanted to celebrate the people from his group, his posse. Let me see. What's that? I have always believed that the strength of America comes from our shared belief of being an immigrant nation and striving to be better as a society. You got a bell for that. Absolutely. Baron, look, Rihanna's giving side eye, and she ain't even looking from the side. Yeah, I don't know. She's Rihanna, because I'm going to tell you, not that it matters, but there's only one billionaire in that photo. Okay, there's only one billionaire in that photo, but he's a real man. He's not insecure. and they don't compete with each other. They love each other. So I'm so glad to see this power couple, one of many of the night, by the way, but I'm so glad to see this power couple. So yeah, that's why I wanted to share that with you, because this is the side of the Black community that they don't share, is that you can have a man that is secure in his own skin and is working hard every day to achieve and to do better than the last day and the day before that. So I listened. I never paid attention to him before, but I actually listened to him talk about his goals and his dreams, and that is how you find the right partner. Is when it's not that you necessarily have all these things, but that you have a goal, that you have a vision, that you want more out of life. That is what's very important. It's good to have it, but you know, it's really bad if there is no vision. Let me see. Yep, exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is what you're supposed to do. And hopefully, like I said, I wish them the absolute best. I love that moment. I looked at that today, this little video that I had looked at, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is insanely um cute. It is just absolutely adorable. That moment right there. And it kind of reminds me of what's her name? Grace Jones, when she was dating Dolph Lundgren. Um when they were an item, a couple, but their thing is very different, from this situation. So I'm not really comparing the two. But it was just that very strange moment when Dolph Lundgren went from being an accessory to being the focus. And it was because of Grace Jones, because of their by chance meeting. She's the one encouraged Dolph Lundgren to take acting lessons and to do this and to do that. And eventually, when they were out, the whole power dynamic just kind of flipped. But that was Grace Jones' problem, because there was times when she was very difficult to work with. She had a bit of a reputation, and it wasn't what people said about her. It was basically some of the stunts that she pulled, because a lot of her life at that time was fueled by Studio 54, if you know what I mean. And so I don't want to take anything away from her talent or anything like that, but oh my God. I'll just say, oh my God. Dolph Lundgren said that she was supposed to do a movie one day, and when they sent someone to go and pick her up, that person was greeted with, a pew pew. So they called him. This is a story that he's told. And by the way, Dolph and Grace Jones are still very good friends. But as he told the story, he actually had to go on behalf of the studio. At least he volunteered to go and neutralize the situation. And he had to take that away from her before somebody got hurt, and including herself. And then there was the occasion when she burned all of his clothes, just like you see in the movies. Yeah, she's had some moments, but you know what? I wouldn't want her to be any other way, because that's who Grace Jones is. And I couldn't love her any more or any less because of her being Grace Jones. Oh my God. But yeah, you guys, if you could find that documentary where Dolph Lundgren speaks about their relationship, it was very, very interesting. And it won't at all surprise you. It won't at all surprise you because if you follow Grace Jones, then you know how she is. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's sweet. That is sweet. Yeah, he's very secure in himself. I love that about him. He is very secure in himself. And I think one year he had wore a babushka. He had actually wore a babushka, and the stylist was trying to talk him out of it. And then that became a trend. So this guy is not just there in these spaces. There's a reason why Anna Wintour called upon him to be one of the co-chairs for the night. Yeah, there's a reason for that. So I'm looking forward to see where his career goes. But yeah, and then look at that. Just like someone hit a switch, he went right into character. Went right into character. Just like Zendaya, just like Rihanna, just like anybody else that is in the fashion industry. He went right into character. This is what I love to wear. This is how I like to wear it. So great night for ASAP and Rihanna ASAP that night. I'm really happy for them. Now, you guys, I am going to be the big snitch in the room. I am going to snitch. I am telling my birthday twin about this. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? I'm telling. You wait and see. I am going to call up my birthday twin and I'm going to tell her, I'm going to say, listen, Miranda Priestley. Oh, I'm sorry. Not Miranda Priestley. That's the movie. I'm going to say, Anna Wintour, I just want you to know that they brought phones to the Met Gala. Now, everyone agrees to leave their cell phones. This is why there are no photos, or at least there shouldn't be any photos inside of the Met Gala. This is why people go up those steps and you never know what happens because there are not supposed to be photos. So some of these very enterprising, intrepid individuals decided, let's sneak into the bathroom and do some selfies. Can you believe this? And this is not just this year. This is something that's been going back for the past few years where they all sneak in the bathroom. These are some of the most privileged people in the world of fashion sneaking off into the bathroom, not just to smoke a cigarette, but to take selfies. Yeah, this is not supposed to be. They are not supposed to bring their phones. And look at ASAP. Look at him with his finger. Shh. They didn't want Auntie Anna to come crashing in there. It's like they're at any kind of nightclub. You know how at the nightclub, the men and the women all use the same bathrooms? That I thought this was the funniest thing. I thought this was the funniest thing. I'm like, y'all gonna get caught. Because I'm telling. Because y'all ain't supposed to be in there with them phones. And there they are. One after the other. Laughing, talking, Some people having a smoke break and taking selfies. By the way, the guy with the silver suit on, I had to put a little something in the middle right there because he was showing a little bit too much pelvis. He was showing a little bit too much pelvis. So I decided to, well, look at there. Lewis Hamilton, Cynthia Riva, what's his name? Domingo, all of them. And they're with their phones in the bathroom. They know they ain't supposed to do that. And look, there goes somebody smoking a cigarette. I'm telling. I am going to be a huge snitch. As soon as I talk to Anna, I'm telling. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Yep. Oh, look who else showed up. Now, see, I knew. Look who else is in the picture. Look who else showed up. How'd she get there? Ain't that something? And with her signature glass of champagne. You see what I mean? Yep. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to give Tiffany a chance to tell Anna. And if Tiffany doesn't tell her, I'll tell her that they were in the bathroom smoking cigarettes and taking selfies. And there's my other birthday twin. See, I have 3 birthday twins for the night of the Met Gala. Colin Kaepernick, Kylie Jenner, and Anna Wintour. Those are my birthday twins, all November 3rd. Oh, and finally, I did find a photo of, is it Sarah? Sarah? Oh my God, what is this girl's name? The one on the right side there. I finally found a photo of her at the Met Gala. So she did go. Yeah. Oh, why can't I remember her name? Okay, she's married to Lucky, whatever his name is. Nara Aziza Smith or something like that. Oh, thank you, Madison. Nara. All right. And of course, the white hat, the very classic white hat. One of the squatties put together that collage over there on the left side. So, and of course, very much reminding us about the amazing motion picture Mahogany with Diana Ross. Oh, and right here, Hammam, is that right? In a custom Magda Bertram suit. You guys, all right. I'm going to just say this. This takes nothing away from Zendaya. No one could possibly do that because I love and adore Zendaya. But is she wearing that suit or what? It's a whole nother cut. It's a whole nother experience. And I didn't know who she was. I saw her here yesterday. And then I found this today. So she also had a hat. And yeah, they both look absolutely stunning. Yes, thank you for saying that. Bianca Jagger also wore the white tux and hat in the 1970s. Look it up. Yes, I saw that. That photo has been floating around of a side by side of Zendara and Bianca Jagger. Jagger. Thank you very much for reminding us. Oh, I'm so sorry that I missed it. Okay. And I did not share this dress because I didn't see the point of it. I get it now. I get it now. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. Once I figure out what's going on, then, if I'm thinking somebody's not on theme, I'm just like, eh. But Josephine Baker, she is channeling Josephine Baker and doing a very good job of it too. So Josephine Baker. And the only thing is, I don't know who the other person is, but there you go. Very beautiful. And lastly, this is the last one. That is Tracy Ellis Ross. That is fun and cute and adorable and lovely. And it's all of those things. If I had to say, did she nail it? Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She looks absolutely gorgeous. Yes, that's the name, Gigi Hadid. That's the name I recognized from earlier. Thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is this the update we were looking for? Huh. So if it's white, that means there's a new pope. If it's black, that means not yet. And if it's orange, oh damn, that's what that means. Never mind. I thought we were getting an update. I thought I was going to have some breaking news. I thought I was going to have some breaking news, but instead, it's that other spot of bothers. So never mind. No breaking news to be had right now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say that there's no breaking news yet. Sorry. False alarm. It's just a massive amount of Cheeto dust. That's what it is. A massive amount of Cheeto dust. Okay, you guys, I am done. Thank you all so much. I have really enjoyed the Met Gala. It's like one of the best things that could have happened because we were having a pretty rough time of it last week, and we needed some kind of distraction. So be it. The Met Gala will do just fine. Yeah. Sometimes people do get married and don't say anything, but maybe they're not married. I don't know. I guess not if there's not any big wedding, but yeah, I think they should. I hope they will at some point. I hope not. I hope them and not us. No, not yet. No new pope yet. I don't think so. I think we are still waiting. The world is waiting. Okay. All right, you guys, I am done. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. We'll do this again tomorrow, hopefully earlier, not so late. But we'll make it do what it do either way. I'm looking at some last minute headlines and I don't see anything. Yeah, so far we are just waiting for the news. When I went to the Sistine Chapel, people were very quiet, and some people were actually crying. People, a lot of people got very emotional about being in that space. Wow, they got all those camera crews posted at the Vatican, waiting for those curtains to open up, waiting for those doors to open. Huh, I don't think Meghan posted anything today. And she hasn't posted anything on as ever, I think, in like 2 weeks. Okay, I'm just skimming through some of the info out there, trying to see what's new. Uh-oh. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. Good night, peace and joy. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should go back and watch it then. I should go back and watch it. Oh, Tyler pre-met party. Okay. I certainly will. So, you guys, how do you feel about Anna Wintour now? I want you all to be very brutally honest. How do y'all feel about Anna Wintour now? Because, excuse me, Anna Wintour has made some major changes when it comes to Vogue and their approach to fashion, I think, because of the influencers. Because of the influencers. A lot of models are starting their careers because of their presence on social media. And so the fashion world has changed a lot. Yeah, and um, Andre Leon Talley and Anna Wintour had some huge falling out, and Andre did not feel appreciated, although he spoke so well about her in his book, Beyond the Chiffon Trenches, or I think that's the name of it. But yeah, something happened. I don't know. I'm sure he speaks about it, but there was that big snub with the red carpet at the Met Gala that Anna Wintour decided to feature these influencers, these social media influencers, instead of Andre Leon Talley with this wealth of experience that he had. And that did not go over well. Let me see. Publishing is dying, so I commend Anna for keeping Vogue relevant by changing up the guard and highlighting new aspects of fashion and pop culture. You know, that's how I was looking at it. I think she has a job to do. I don't think it's personal, but I think the ultimately, we heard the speeches that was made in The Devil Wears Prada, that if I retire, then the business would suffer and then everyone would suffer. And it does keep Vogue relevant. Um, I had some questions about Andre Leon Talley, not about his talent, not about his commitment, but I'm looking at ASAP Rocky launching a fashion label, and there are so many influencers, some of which, musicians, rappers, whatever, that have had this big influence in the fashion world. And you have to wonder why Andre Leon Talley never launched the label. Why did this man never launch a label? I don't know if he ever answered that question. I don't know if anybody ever asked that question. But why didn't that man ever launch a label? Hey, Joy Amore, thank you so much. So yeah, I have a lot of questions about Andre Leon Talley. Not really so critical, but I'm just fascinated that someone with his background, someone with his work ethic, and it seems like at a certain point he fell out of favor with Karl Lagerfeld. And I don't know if there's anybody else that he fell out of favor with, because most people absolutely loved and adored Andre Leon Talley. But then at a certain point, you know, Anna Wintour. Now, before Anna Wintour, there was Deanna Reeves, whatever her name was, who was the fashion editor for Vogue and Vanity Fair, and eventually she took over the costume department at the Met Gala, and that is how Andre Leon Talley got involved with the Met Gala, was because he worked as a what do you call those people? An apprentice, unpaid. So there was that. And then the other thing is, so what is her name? Deanna Reeves, DeVries, whatever her name. I watched the documentary about her, and there was zero mention. I looked at it twice. There was zero mention of Andre Leon Talley. Zero. So I was just like, is there like a bigger story? And there was nothing complicated about Andre Leon Talley in terms of his personal life. You've never heard anything, as far as most people know, he was basically asexual. He was not a very sexual person. So he was never really in and out of these relationships that we know of. His best relationship was fashion. He lived for the fashion and everything that was to do with that. So he was not ever that person that was, using the baking soda at Studio 54 and that kind of thing. He led a very almost pious lifestyle for the most part, from what we know, the public face of Andre Leon Talley. But there is something there. There's something there. There's a huge part of the story that is missing. Yeah, Karl Lagerfeld was evil. God, that was an evil man. That was an evil man. The older he got, the wealthier he was, the more he just did not care. He would, he was his own thing, and that was that. So I don't see him as necessarily a nice person. Andre was disrespected by Anna and the industry as a whole, in my opinion. More should have been made of him. He was a genius. Well, this is why I'm saying, okay, and I've talked about this before, so I'm just going to say it again. If you know your value and worth, and you know that some of these people that come along after you are making all this money, You should have walked away a long time ago. Because I don't think that Andre Leon Talley, and I'm just saying, I'm just speaking off the top of my head. I don't think he's ever earned more than six figures. I don't think he's ever earned more than six figures. Well, Madison, there is the exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum, and I saw a little glimpse of that today. There is the exhibit there, and very prominent in the exhibit is Andre Leon Talley's Louis Vuitton luggage and his favorite suit, which he wore in his favorite photo. So I don't know if you've seen either of those, but there is a dedication at the Metropolitan Museum, which I hope I can get there to see it before it is gone. But yeah, there is that. So yeah, I feel like there is a huge missing piece of this puzzle. And I guess I should get his book because I would love to learn more. I would love to learn more. Now, there are several videos on the YouTube of Andre Leon Talley speaking about fashion, speaking about the people that he's met on his road to success. But I'm just afraid that he did not have it within him to demand more for the work that he was doing. I think he was very passive about his value. And it just seems to me like he was on the fringes in some respects, and then also very much in the middle of it most of the time. And that he should have simply demanded more money. He should have demanded more. But I don't think it was ever about the money. I don't think it was about the money. I don't think that Andre Leon Talley was there for the money. He was there for the work. He loved the work. He loved, what they created collectively, what they created. And he had a lot of influence. But I just don't think that he had enough business savvy to turn that into something in his own name. Well, Marshar, Anna Wintour actually went to Condé Nast and they financed a home for Andre Leon Talley's grandmother. He wanted to buy a home for his grandmother, and Condé Nast came up with a loan for him to buy his grandmother a house. And I thought that was very strange. I did. Now, let me tell you the other thing. And God, I'm so sorry if it sounds like I'm building a case against him, because I don't mean to do that. I'm only speaking of this out of fascination because I'm so curious about how things, the direction that things took toward the end, right? So what is it? Milano? What is the name of that shoe? Milano Blahnik, the guys that own that shoe company. Andre Leon Talley needed to buy a car, right? He wanted to buy a car. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't a car. He wanted to buy that house. He wanted to buy that house. But I think somebody else helped him get his car. Someone helped him buy his grandmother's house. Someone helped him buy a car. And so he was renting a flat in New York, and there was some kind of flood. And so he needed to move out of that flat that he was renting, not owning, renting. And the partners that owns that shoe company, they purchased a house for him. The house was never in his name. He never signed any documents establishing that that was his house, but he made repairs, maintained everything, but it was not his house. Milano Blahnik. Okay, thank you very much. But it was not his house. So do you understand why I'm saying there was something weird about that? You want to buy your grandmother a house. You have other people do that because for whatever reason you couldn't do it yourself. You need to buy a car. You have someone else do that for you because you could not do that yourself. And then when you need to flee Manhattan and move into a proper house, maybe for the first time in life, adult life, that is also someone else's doing. So is it too far of a stretch to say that the same person that was dependent upon someone for this and someone for that and someone for this seemed to be unable to demand more money? Money that he obviously needed. Now, I believe he was very generous with his family, probably generous to a fault. So he certainly was not smoking the money. He could not have eaten the money. And he wasn't gambling the money. He didn't have some boyfriend that was taking advantage of him. He didn't have any of that stuff. But the business side of his life, it doesn't seem like he was ever present for it. And this is someone who studied French and taught, taught French literature or whatever in college. And as far as I know, I don't think he'd ever been to Paris until he was hired to go over there. Wasn't he like a college professor or something like that, teaching literature or English or French or something like that? And when it's time to go to Paris, I don't think he had even been over there before. It seems like with that type of background, you wouldn't happen to go to, people wouldn't have to. It seemed like you wouldn't happen to go to Paris because somebody asked you. It seemed like you would have been there already. Now, I might not know that he'd been there before, but I don't think he had. So, pardon me if I'm sounding unkind, but there is something odd about that. There's something odd about that. Because the math is not mathing. The math is not mathing. Now, I've heard this man talk. He was brilliant. But yet, when it came to his own life, he did not seem very present for it. So when we say that Anna Wintour did him a bad turn, did she? Or had she reached that point where she just didn't want to do it anymore? Wasn't it Anna Wintour who was part of the intervention? You're dangerously obese. Please go get some help. So yeah, that's like I said, I have a lot of questions. None of it is my business, but I have a lot of questions about Leon Talley. And it's not, anything accusatory or anything like that, but I just have so many questions. Because this man was an absolute genius. Okay. Okay, so there's Leon Talley. There he is. I suppose that I suppose that is the house that he lived in. And there's some of the things that were auctioned. That coat was custom made for him. Rihanna wore that coat when she did the Super Bowl halftime, if you guys remember. She used his coat for the Super Bowl halftime. Yeah. Yeah. That is so true. So I guess what I'm saying is this. It's easy to blame this person or that person. In particular, Anna Wintour has been the lightning rod, not just for Leon Talley, but for a lot of people, for a lot of situations, for anything and everything. And there she is, the captain of the ship, a ship of media that is slowly sinking, print magazines. And Leon Talley, someone who did not seem to evolve at a certain point. He did and he didn't. He mastered the media. He could take a microphone and keep the conversation going and all that kind of stuff. And even more important, he had something to say. He definitely had something to say. But those personal parts of his life, during the pandemic, he may or may not have had the bug, but I believe they said that he had heart disease or a heart attack or something like that. But yeah, it was during the pandemic. So we were still doing the face mask at the time, 2022. So that's what I'm saying. I'm being very careful with my words because I certainly do not want to offend anyone, and I don't want to slander Andre Leon Talley or just besmirch his memory or anything like that. But I have so many questions. I have so many questions because there's the public face of things, and then there's the other stuff. So I just have a lot of questions. Having that much proximity to power and being around so many powerful people, and yet business wise, you know, it was like he did not handle his own business. And six figures, what kind of six figures? The high six figures or the low six figures? But you have some kind of flood at your flat and you flee Manhattan and you ask your friends to help you buy a house, or they arranged a house for him or something like that. Marcia, you remember we talked about this before. I'm just fascinated. Zakoy Farms, good morning to you. Anyway, we can pick up this subject another time, but I'm going to say good night. And I don't know, maybe I should just get the book. I should get the book and figure out what happened. Yeah, I don't think that his salary, he was saying something about the other people that were making so much money, people that came into the business after him. And I'm just like, how'd that happen? Thank you, Zakoy. This is someone who knew Halston. I mean, he was friends with Halston. What's his name? He used to work for Andy Warhol for his magazine. And even that was not, I don't think that was a paid position. I don't even think that was a paid position. So listen, I'm not knocking him for not being so interested in money, but the amount of knowledge that this man must have given away to people. You know, I look at Law Roach, right? We all know who Law Roach is. I look at Law Roach, and you can see a lot of Andre Leon Talley in Law Roach, but they're very different people. And Law Roach is how do I put this? He doesn't have nearly the experience of Andre Leon Talley. I don't think educationally he ever rose into the ranks as Leon Andre Leon Talley did. So, and it does make a difference if you've had a formal education. It does make a difference. I don't think I could say I've had a formal education. This is why I'm telling you it does make a difference. But the eloquence in which Andre Leon Talley could just flow, the words would flow from him into the air. And you sit up higher. You put your chest out, you hold your head up because you feel elevated by the conversation. I listened to this man talk many a time. You know how you just start going binging one video after the next. I couldn't get enough of him. But then I'm just like, where's the money? Where's the money? What did you have to show for all of these connections? And that is what fascinated me about Andre Leon Talley. It was two parts. One part was just how brilliant he was. And the other part was what happened? How did you end up in a house that you had no legal deed? It was a gentleman's agreement, he said. It was a gentleman's agreement. A college-educated person should know better than doing something by a gentleman's agreement. And so I submit to you, I can understand the hostility toward Anna Wintour because she's Anna Wintour. And that's part of her appeal, is that not everybody likes her. But I'm wondering, did it just reach a point where it was, I don't want to do this anymore? Well, I think the eviction was coming. I think it was still in court, but I think the eviction was coming. Milano Blahnik, they were facing some financial problems, and they wanted the house back. They wanted to put the house on the market, I believe. And Andre Leon Talley claimed that there was some type of handshake, gentleman's agreement about the house. And he said that I maintained the house and did the upkeep. I believe him. I believe that to be true. But was the house ever deeded in your name? Did you put down the, necessary financing? Were you able to pay for the house, for your, for the loan, the whatever you call it? I think not. He wanted a house for his grandmother, and so he went to Anna Wintour, who arranged something with Condé Nast. So I'm guessing they took the money out of his paycheck? Okay. Then you need a car, and that's in somebody else's name. Okay, that could happen. And then you need a house for yourself, and that's in somebody else's name. Now, I don't know what happened to grandma's house. But how many times do you have somebody do these things for you? Well, there's just certain things I don't like to ask people to do. I don't like to ask for that kind of stuff because it changes the way people look at you. So I'm going to do some digging and I want to see if I can find some answers to my questions because I do have many questions and I want to know what was going on because it just doesn't make sense the way the direction things went. As I theorized in the past, maybe he was on the spectrum. Maybe he was on the spectrum. It's possible. But listen, you guys, he was a lovely person. People adored him, and he adored a lot of people. And the fashion industry definitely benefited from all of his input over the years. And Deanna Vreeland, that was her name, Deanna Vreeland. But I'm going to invite you guys to look at some of those conversations that he was having, like college lectures, or he was a guest of whatever at college, and he spoke to people, and there was a buzz and an excitement because of his presence. That's undeniable. But okay, cheers. Love you guys. I will see you all next time. As per usual, another interesting conversation. And yeah, all the best to you. Oh, yeah, there's that too. There's that too. But this seemed to run a lot deeper than that for some reason. Seemed to run so much deeper. I really couldn't put my finger on it, but I would be very keen to sort it out. I really would. Because I'm just nosy like that. Very nosy. Okay. Love you guys. Bye for now. Bye from Ivy. Bye.